It's a spiritual war. If you turn a blind eye, you get more than you bargained for.
I've been thinking while I was thinking, it came to me, those sweet vibrations.
It's a beautiful day in London. I'm outside Harrods department store, which is basically a billionaire's Poundland. I'm here to meet Fred and Richard Fairbrass of Right Said Fred. Now, after 1 billion streams and after 4 US #1 singles, they are re-recording all of their hits. The album, Deeply Dippy, the singles, is released on the 2nd of June. Let's go and meet the lads, grab a coffee.
If you turn a blind eye, you better be pretty damn sure it's a spiritual war. If you turn a blind eye, you get more.
Richard, Fred, great to see you. So, I was going to say the new record, but it's a collection of your singles, your greatest hits.
Yeah.
Deeply Dippy, released on June the 2nd.
Yeah.
You've re-recorded all the songs. What was the thinking behind doing that?
Partly because mostly driven by playing them years on stage. The live performances are different to what we were doing on the original recordings.
Right.
I think it's good to reinvigorate the catalogue. People have heard it. Also, what we realised after important interpretations by Taylor Swift and Drake and Beyonce, we have any audience. So what we were seeing online and what we were seeing on messages and stuff and autographs in the street is that we have this new audience from care of these bigger artists. So we just thought, well, let's do a bit of both. So we've done, as you say, we've re-recorded our most famous tracks that we think some people wouldn't have heard. Right. And there's a brand new single called Spiritual War.
Oh, fantastic.
That's getting all political.
Which is exactly what we're in.
Yes, it is.
Exactly what we're in,
How have you managed to kind of, because in an industry that, at least from the outside, it seems quite controlled in the sense of artists signed to a label or a management company, a distribution, they kind of do as they're told.
Yes.
How have you managed to keep yourself free and independent in that sense?
By losing money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
We can't make the decision, bloody hell, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have worked with we have no problem with major labels. In terms of, as we run our own label and we will license product to them.
Right.
That's that, plug into their infrastructure, we've got an issue. When it becomes they start telling you what to say, what you can and can't do, that's when we have an issue with them.
Of course.
Yeah.
So from an independent artist point of view, we've found it, particularly the last 3 years, really difficult. Financially.
But freeing at the same time.
Yeah. At the same time, I wouldn't want to be some of the artists who I see, and I know that they are being suppressed in terms of what they want to say. And I think, the usual suspects who normally speak out about everything, absolutely everything, silent.
We get
Which is extraordinary, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We get quite a few messages from musicians and they're saying, keep it up, very good, I agree with everything you say. I can't say anything, of course.
Yeah.
Does it affect the bank balance?
Yeah.
See, what's strange about that is I think one of the selling points of being an artist is the fact that you're not an estate agent where the boss is breathing down your neck.
Yes.
No.
But actually, in a sense, you kind of are.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yeah. I mean, we I remember when we first started, we did a kids show, some kids kind of pop thing. We got a phone call from the record company, and they said, "Would you mind shaving your chest for your performance?"
Right.
So I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, we feel that a hairy chest might frighten the children." So there you go.
But we did play ball.
And that kind of stuff really ticked us off.
Yeah.
In the early days, we did play ball.
Yeah, we did.
When everything kicked off in America, and we were always a little bit difficult to deal with, I think, which is why we fell out with the label quite quickly. But most of the time, we did what we were told. And then after about 2 or 3 years, we just thought, we're not really enjoying this. It's not for us. Then also the label we were with was independent, and when we were ignored by the Brits and the Mercuries, we thought, well, this is a game that we're never going to win because the majors control this. So we just thought, well, if that's the case, let's just crack on our own.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's worked it's worked in our favour. But I really do believe if you want to be super famous, like the Katy Perry's of this world, or
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Those sort of, I think you do have to play ball 100%, and I think your life is choreographed.
I
for
couldn't
you.
Almost certain.
I couldn't stand it.
That's not life, though.
No,
Not for me.
neither,
not for me, no.
neither of us could stand it, honestly. I would much rather lose money and say what I think and be who I am, if you like, or who we are, than play that game. I actually couldn't stand it. There's a story about, what's the name of that band in Canada? Had to apologise.
It was Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys. They were in Canada doing an interview just after 9/11, and one of the guys of the band said something to the effect of, "Why do they hate us so much? What causes this?" Now their tour was being sort of supported by a major company who didn't care for that question, and they had to issue an apology simply for asking that question. So that's the kind of thing that you're up
everything.
against. And
We're still getting cancelled on certain...
Some things,
we
yeah.
We were asked to do a big show up in the north, around Halifax, and we had the question, are you going to be talking politics on the stage? Which we never, ever have.
We never have,
We
no.
always keep the two separate. We don't hijack one to promote the other. And we said, no, we just don't do that. And then they got cold feet and they cancelled us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we are still seeing it a bit.
not as much though.
Not nearly as
Well,
much.
you've been vindicated for one, but
Yeah.
they might not admit that.
No, that is true. We've had-
Also,
sorry. go on.
no. Also, I think that you've had the COVID period, if you like. But I think this is now morphing into something much more serious.
Yeah.
I think it's morphing into digital IDs, cashless this, chemtrails. I think the whole thing. There's a book out. I can't remember what it's called, but Jeremy Corbyn is promoting it, I think. And it's basically the degree to which major corporations are undermining the democratic accountability system. And I think it's absolutely true. It's what Robert Kennedy is fighting on. And I think the early stages with COVID, and as serious as that was, we're moving now into something entirely different.
Yeah. Feels like COVID was a Trojan horse
Yeah,
to get certain things
I
and get
think
people
so.
used to certain things
Yes.
like lockdowns.
Yeah.
and things
Yeah,
like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of, we wanted to include Spiritual War on the album, because it's, to ignore what we've said over the last 3 years is also a lie. So
Yeah.
we have, and we have written about, got a song called We're All Criminals. That's sort of with a nod to what's been going on. And Spiritual War is about the last 3 years. So we don't want to pretend that we hadn't spoken out, because we have. And that's never going to go away.
But you don't want to be on a soapbox on stage.
No,
at the same
because
time.
if I go and see a band, I'm not interested.
No.
Get on and play. It's one year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know.
That's exactly what I think.
How do you think? How much has your audience changed? Because I think back to the sexy, deeply. I'm thinking of you in that black string top. You would look at that and you go, that's quite a lefty, liberal,
Yes.
kind of fan base.
Yeah.
And now, because of speaking the truth, basically, for the last 3
yeah.
years, that group of people probably aren't a fan. So, but you've still got fans.
Yeah.
So do you think that your fan base has shifted, and actually people maybe that are more sort of libertarian have actually gone, I've kind of heard of Right Said Fred, and then have gone and listened to your music and gone, actually I quite like that.
Yeah, I think we've got that a little bit.
Yeah.
From messages we've had, particularly talking to the distributor, Plastic Head, and it's now picked up distribution pretty much every territory now. And people that have picked it up at some of the companies, I'm surprised they went for it, because I don't think they would have touched us a year ago.
No.
They've obviously thought, no, these are two separate things. We're not getting involved. We want to do the record, and that's fine. We're getting racked and being stocked in HMV, which I think is great and surprising. So I think you have to a big Fnac
in France,
which is France, and right across Europe, they're stocking it and racking it. And so I think now what people are doing, they're just going, well, that's okay. They've got that opinion, but this is a record, so let's just deal with that.
Yeah.
I think if the record was called, The Plandemic,
that might be different.
that might be different. But I do like people that try and have a message in the track, and we've tried that a few times. But I also just, I'm a big fan of ZZ Top, and I just like to listen to Billy Gibbons rocking out.
We were talking.
Do you know what I mean? I want them to do what they do.
We were talking about this the other day. If you look back to the right, the race riots in America, nothing from the Stones.
Nothing.
From the Stones.
Rolling
No.
Stones.
Nothing from the Beatles. Nothing from a lot of major acts.
Paul
back
McCartney
then.
claims Blackbird
Well,
is.
Paul
doesn't he?
McCartney claims that Blackbird is how very convenient. I went off him the minute he wagged his finger and told me to get the jab because it was cool. So as far as I'm concerned, he can go and do one. But I think when you look back, artists of various kinds have been playing that game for a long, long time.
Yes, they have,
long,
yeah.
long time. And there aren't many artists that speak out historically. You know, I think during the Iraq War, I think George Michael was the only one who wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of
calling out America.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. So it's you know, this is not a new situation. I don't think this is a new place that we're in. But I think it's kind of sad that pop has become so spineless. Yeah, I do.
I think also people are easily pleased when it comes to being shocked. So when Rage Against the Machine are asked not to swear on stage or on the TV and they swear, people think that's being rebellious. But it's not. It's not. It's cheap. It's pound shop rebellion. You know, if you want to stand up and say, well, actually, I think this, and that's your prerogative, and I think more about. I'm not saying they should, but if you want to say something, you should. I think what's happening is that, you know, there's lots of people who normally speak out and they're quiet, and to me that makes no sense.
No.
Because they've spoken out about pretty much everything.
Silence is compliance.
Yeah, the silence is compliance. Yeah.
But good luck with the record, though.
Yeah.
I hope it goes great for you guys.
The response has been great. So fingers crossed. We'll wait to see.
It has.
June 2nd.
Yeah, June 2nd.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Available on all platforms.
Absolutely. Well, cheers, guys. It's
Thank
great
you.
to-
That's great.
great to
Thank you
hang
very
out.
much. Cheers, man.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.